pitchers? Like, what's their schedule look like?
Yeah, we caught a little bit of a advantage break by moving the doubleheader up. Kind of gives them one extra day where they're not maybe on call. But we work hard with Josh Walker and Derek Groomer to make sure he knows or they know who we want aligned on what days, and then we set their week according to when we anticipate using guys. And for some, that's pitching in the game tomorrow night, and for some, that's having them ready to go for Thursday or Friday.
Coach, when Wes came in this fall and started working with a lot of these guys, and a lot of them showed, really big jumps, whether it be velocity, movement, whatever, what have you seen guys really in the early goings of the spring, maybe not necessarily now, really working on the harness, maybe their new stuff per se, really getting acclimated to like their new bodies and their new stuff?
It's a really good question. I think, however many games into this, I feel like the guys are pitching with a lot of confidence. I think for the most part, with a few exceptions, and I don't mean this by player, just at a few times, we've maybe struggled with command, but, I don't see that at all. I think, in building a pitcher, their role is to get outs, and to get outs, you have to throw strikes, and you have to command the baseball. And I think we've done a really good job of that so far in terms of strikeouts, walks, getting ahead, executing kill pitches. I know we've struck out a lot of guys, which is great. I think we've identified, where we need to make adjustments. I think he does as good a job of any coaches I've been around of evaluating their performance, getting the feedback to the pitcher of what the next layer is for improvement, and that's A to Z. I mean, that's what the guy like Paul, even has been as good as he is what's the next step or layer, and so I have full trust in that.
What do you think a weekend can do for Paxton Kling, just kind of getting to reassess and watch some baseball?
Well, he had a small injury last week, so there's a little more to why he didn't play than that. I think it has been beneficial for some of the young guys. Like, that environment was something else the other night. I mean, that was impressive. That's one I'll remember, as a coach, like just everybody getting behind our team. And I don't think it's the end of the world to sit there for a few innings and look at what that looks like, and then see yourself slow the game down and be successful. And he's healthier today than he was, going into that series. Get some more treatment today, and hopefully back in the mix tomorrow, hopefully.
Have you ever seen a guy like Tommy White that hits the ball as hard and has such a good approach with two strikes?
Dylan and Tommy are in a category by themselves relative to those types of things, and it's fun, being a part of it, meaning their career and development, and watching them, just as we were talking about with the pitchers, kind of go get the next thing. And what they've been able to do is remarkable. And winning a lot of games, we're winning a lot of games by a lot of runs, and a lot of it is those guys don't give away an at bat, and they're so consistent in what they do. And you're right, the combo of power, plate discipline, two-strike approach, it's hard to find, and they both have that.
When you were recruiting Paul, did you know that he could take this next step, because he wasn't quite this dominant at Air Force as good as he was?
Yes. Part of it is the person, and the competitive nature, and the maturity and preparation. And it's more than just talent, with him, with why he is the way that he is. And the other thing is, there's another layer of commitment to being at a service academy as an athlete that our guys have no idea about. And they don't live the same life. And that affects your performance. Well, then you talk about getting here with the best resources as far as nutrition, the best resources as far as recovery, the best resources as far as development, best resources as far as analytics, best team around you. I think all those things, Paul would tell you, have helped him get to another gear. And the best part about him is he's always trying to get to the next one.
Did you recruit him at all when he was in high school?
I knew who he was. His family. I remember seeing when he committed to Air Force. I was like, Coach Cass got a pretty good one right there. Like I said, I've documented it, I think, with you guys before. Like I remember it immediately. Wichita State and Air Force were getting ready to play at our tournament in Tucson, and he said, "Hey, I don't think this cat's going to be able to stay at the academy for 3 years." And it's like, well, you let me know if he's not going to do that. Really glad that he's here, obviously. Understatement of the year.
What kind of recruit was he in high school?
He was more of a hitter first, and the pitching thing, as I think he's explained as well, came along later. And when you see guys hit a stride like this at this time, there's bullets that were left in their arm. I always often think about like Trevor Hoffman becoming one of the greatest closers in Major League Baseball history. Was a shortstop in college, and so a lot of bullets were in his arm. I think it was something similar to that. And then, like I said, he closed the game out against my team as a freshman. I was like, man, this is not who you want to see trotting in the game when you're down 2 in the 8th inning or 9th inning.
You talk about the bullets in his arm. Is it because the fact that he hadn't been a pitcher and travel ball 7th, 8th
I think so.
grade and just-
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got a nephew that can throw the baseball pretty good, and I'm making sure that he doesn't get to the pitcher's mound often until he gets older, because that matters. I think young players, if they're just a good thrower of the baseball, they can become great pitchers. But you don't want to exhaust all of your pitching bullets at a young age. Body's not designed for pitching anyways, let alone when you're young. So, I think I've heard of several guys like that that really make a jump in college. They've had the ability to do it, the arm strength to do it, the athleticism, feel to have a clean delivery and develop a second pitch. And I think he would be able to articulate that he's probably where he's at because he had a little slower build to becoming a pitcher.
Well, last Monday after the A&M series loss was on in Texas, talking about it, saying it was the cleanest he's ever seen somebody throw. What does that mean for him longevity-wise?
I think it's great. Yeah, I think, there's certain layers of this thing that, now professional baseball, they have more people working for them and evaluating tools as possible. And, they can, or they'll tell you they can predict, what a guy's going to be able to do and add value. And his value is about as high as you could hope for players to be.
Gavin Dugas, he had a couple of home runs over the week that kind of swung the momentum. Can you just talk about his ability to come up clutch so far?
Huge, yeah. I think I tell or talk about this a lot, that the best coach any player has in their life is playing time and experience. And he's had a lot of college at bats under his belt. And even though he was struggling with injuries, I had a good sense of what we could get to if we could kind of just get him healthy and him utilize that experience. He's a better player now, too. He's played airless second base. We just got done doing our daily defensive deal before I came in here. And the focus level and the preparation we were just talking about with Paul, he's got that going on right now. It's a very professional routine. And I would think he would tell you that he's locked in and he knows exactly what he needs to do to get himself ready. So when those moments show up, the combination of elite preparation and experience, he's at peak performance right now.
Have you looked at Thatcher's start? Anything that stand out to you, good or bad? And is he that guy moving forward, do you think, still?
Yeah, I think looking at it, we get the first 2 guys out, no drama, get the third guy to 2 strikes in the first inning. And we were only at 12 or 13 pitches, and I think he ended up throwing 35 pitches and 2 runs were on the board. Credit Wagner for great hitter. Hurt us all weekend. Hit the ball hard, with authority the other way. So he got a swing. I think it's just reining in when something doesn't go right, just getting back to the next pitch. That's all he has to do. The execution part, there's some small misses, but you got to be able to get back to the next pitch. And I think his greatest quality is his competitiveness, and aggressiveness and wants to get everybody out every pitch and throws it with that intent. And so you've seen it when he gets rolling, he's not getting hit. And so you never want to turn that quality against you. So I think he'll be fine. I think we have a good plan of we met this morning of what we want to do, for this week with him, and I expect him to pitch well this week.
How important is rhythm for him?
I think it's important for any pitcher. I think it's important for the defense. I think Wes does a terrific job of getting the pitches in quickly. I think the catchers do a terrific job communicating what they want. I think the infielders are prepared as far as positioning and knowing what to do, and I think it led to a good pitching and defensive effort. So I think it's important for him. I think it's important for all. I would answer the same way for any pitcher.
Sam Dutton's a guy who's had a couple appearances this year. Was obviously huge for
Yeah.
us last year. Just what do you expect his role?
That's a good question. I came in this morning and watched a bunch of Grambling yesterday, and I just told Wes, let's talk about who we want to pitch, but I want him on the mound tomorrow for multiple innings at some point. I thought he was exceptional in the one inning he threw last Tuesday. And I trust him. I trust him a lot. He's always, he's been on the active roster for these SEC weekends. He was up in a bullpen in both of them. And it's just, the game, it's got to be the right spot. It's got to be the right matchup. And he really picked us up last year. So Sam is a guy I have a ton of faith in. And you look at it like a classic example with Griffin Herring this weekend. You hadn't seen him in a while or heard a lot about him, but I'm sitting here going, it's just a matter of time, and it's got to line up. Well, we won the game, the second game on Saturday, largely because of his performance. I see Sammy in that same kind of light. I call him Sammy. I don't know if he likes that or not, but I just do because I like him so much.
Griffin picked up 2 wins last week. Will we expect to see more of him this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a key part of this staff for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Going off of Glenn's question, can you talk about the importance of maybe not overlooking Grambling before you?
Oh yeah, that's not a thing around here. As crazy as it sounds, you don't just win. The baseball's not designed that way. And they have an athletic team. They play aggressive. You got to get the leadoff hitter out. It's one of the more important games on their schedule. They swept their series this weekend, and I don't think that'll be an issue. I think the doubleheader thing worked out for a little bit of a breather yesterday and allow us to prep today, and I'm not worried about that at all.
Nate Ackenhausen, we didn't see him last weekend. How's he doing? What's his status?
Yeah, he's good. I anticipate he'll be ready to roll this week. Don't think we'll use him tomorrow. Would be my guess, but he's in a good spot. Like I said, we had a plan for last week, and I think we have a good plan for this week. And as I've told you guys, I love putting him in the game, so I would anticipate that he'll be in the game this weekend.
Brady Neal played a lot of baseball on Saturday. How's he sort of feeling physically after that?
Yeah, he was smiling, as a lot of our guys were at the end of Saturday night. And it was a good day. I think he had a couple really good at-bats on Saturday night where he hit the ball hard at people. I thought he caught great in that game. Was challenged early in that first inning on Saturday night. And we just have a really good luxury with having him and Alex, who are both good defensive catchers, and both of them are being contributors offensively. I think Brady's up there on our team in walks. He's hit some balls really hard, big home run on Friday, obviously. Alex has had productive at-bats. Coach Josh Jordan is doing a terrific job with those guys defensively. And, they're on the smallest of details. I'm sitting here going man, they both blocked some tough pitches. He threw a guy out on Friday, and, Josh is in my office going hey, we need to be better at getting this pitch or that pitch. And he's how much time do I have for individual defense with those guys today? So they'll keep getting better. But we're monitoring that. I think he's such a good offensive player, which is why you've seen some of the spells. I really liked the matchup on Saturday night with him in the lineup. So when I saw an opportunity to split the first game and have him catch both games, we made a decision to do that.
And know that Brady Neal also reclassified, like he graduated from high school early. Like, is that something that's unusual, or like what are the advantages and disadvantages of that?
Yeah, Florida has had a few guys do it. Vanderbilt has had a few guys do it. He is the first one that I've had do it, and I tried a lot. Out west, the kids are a little more geared to they want to go to pro baseball as fast as they can, and so nobody's really interested in doing that. But the value for the player is tremendous. Professional baseball puts a high premium on age, and so the younger they can get you, the better. They feel like they'll get more control over the player's optimal years. But you get paid in the draft by being a performer at a high level of college baseball, which this is the highest level of college baseball. So it allows the player to get that sweet spot where they can go into professional baseball younger with that proven track record. And so that's how I understand it. I really believe, like, I know people do it because of money. Like, I don't know how you pass up Saturday night here. I mean, there's nothing you can do in the minor leagues that could help make you a better player than face a team like that as a pitcher or as a hitter in that type of environment where a lot of people care. Like, guys learn how to win, at this level. And so obviously I'm just a full college baseball guy unless you're the top 15 overall pick. But I think that's the thought of why players do it.
But going back to the rhythm thing in West calling pitches, it does seem like almost the pitch isn't even finished and there's another one coming in. Does he do it off feel, or does he have every guy?
Oh, no, the preparation's elite. And the understanding of, if it's ball, it's strike, if the hitter makes this adjustment, is on top of all of that type of thing. And, we have a plan for the day, for the series, for spots in the order, for runs for guys, where we might see them. Yeah, he's got a lot that goes into that process, but he calls pitches as easily as any pitching and I've had some good pitching coaches, as easily as anybody I've seen. And now we're forced to do it faster. You can't go like, I'm stuck. It's like we got to get it in, or they're going to call it ball because that clock's moving.
You can't probably focus a ton on this, but has Grant Taylor had his surgery yet? And just kind of what's
He had his surgery. He had his surgery. So far, so good. Brace is still on, as it will be, for a while. You guys may or may not know this. I mean, he's an elite student. I mean, came in with all kinds of AP credits, and one of those guys that could graduate in 3 years' time. Obviously, he saves the redshirt year for this year. Likes being here. And obviously, I mean, a guy of that talent and that character, and I mean, I want him here as long as he's willing to stay here. And if we get a month and a half out of him in 2024, good by me. And he'll have his degree and have all the leverage in the world. So, and he's on a good track with Josh Walker, our trainer. Got his surgery done, Dr. Meister. So he's rolling.
Basic generic question, but your two SEC series in, what have you learned in those series about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought, we went to Texas A&M, and that was probably a step up in competition. Now, our schedules worked out pretty well. I mean, that trip to Texas, I mean, they've won like 20 games in a row or something like that. Iowa's like 16-3. Sam Houston's in first place, and Kansas State is playing great. Central Connecticut's won a ton of games. But going on the road in the SEC is a completely different animal. I thought they handled that as good as you possibly could. We had a great workout, scored 2 in the first. Paul came out and was Paul. That obviously allows you to play with good confidence. Got a little dicey at the end of the first game. We held them off, and then it broke the game open. Like, that sounds like our team. Followed it up, got behind, and came back and won, and really played good on Sunday until the very end. And, it's 27 outs. And so was pleased with how they handled that one. This one, the crowd on Friday was amazing for it being noon, and the energy in the ballpark was great. And that's a home field advantage, but that's the first one like that since I've been here. And so there was an adjustment period, I think, for our players. and not to mention 2 really good pitchers. I remember thinking walking out of Arkansas with Hagen Smith going like, God, we got to deal with that guy for 2 more years. Like, he's impressive. Like, he's really, really good. And but then to respond well, you couldn't do much more as far as getting up off the mat of what they exhibited on Saturday. And so I don't know if I've learned anything, but it's reaffirming trust is what I would say.
Is there an update on Javen Coleman?
He's throwing a bullpen today. Velocity's picking back up, spinning breaking balls today, and that's a good thing for him.
With Dylan Cruz, I know we're running out of really good things to say about him because we've said them all already. Do you think, though, that for LSU, do you think he's the most important player that's ever come through here?
Oh, man. I mean, like, I'm going to say yes because it's right now, and I certainly don't want to disrespect DJ LeMahieu, Alex Bregman, or Eddie Furness, Todd Walker, Ben McDonald. Like, I mean, those guys, they made this place. You know what I mean? As far as performing, you can't do any better than he's doing. Like, that's just how I would say it. And, yeah, he's amazing.
Maybe time for a couple more. Do you have anything else?
Oh, Garrett Edwards said on Saturday, talking about the fall, he said it was a little bit of a struggle, and he said physically he felt fine, but he said mentally he just didn't feel like his mind was in the right place. Did you guys sense that at all, and did you kind of help him get through that, or was that just purely on his own?
Yeah, I'm going to give him all the credit. I'm skeptical, you know what I mean? All I heard was how good he was, you know what I mean? But I hadn't seen it. And injury last year to his leg, and to Garrett's credit, like, he tried to get back. And, I mean, came back too fast. Like, he didn't have his legs underneath him. Delivery wasn't right. Did not have success. And then in the fall, a little more adversity, and it was like, hey, man, you gotta make the team. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, like, you got to make the team. Like, this isn't going to be given to you. And there was no blink of an eye. There was no, like, looking at me with, like, 3 heads. Like, you got 3 heads. It was like, okay, I got it. And came back, and in January, it's like you're going to be evaluated on these 5 outings that you get. And so to think about that, and now it's like, man, when can we get this guy in the game? He deserves all the credit for that. And I'm really proud of him, and you're going to keep seeing him in important spots.
Next time you go to looking at the weather and you end up with a clear Friday and a beautiful Sunday, they say, are you sure? Are you worried about somewhere you're going to be sure? Are you new meteorologist needed? Or
I had a awful Friday night, and I had an amazing Sunday. So, yeah.
Did you watch the women's game?
I did, yes, and congratulations to them. That's amazing. Like, you know, when you get down and have had the opportunity to coach a team that's been in those last few teams or be in Omaha, like, you really realize how awesome that is because it's so hard. And then to think about what they've done and how the pieces have come together, and what a story. And we'll be pulling from. We'll be a little busy when they're playing on Friday, but if they win, we'll definitely be tuned into that game on Sunday.
Have you had any conversations with Coach Mulkey about it? Or is it a relationship?
You know, I called her. She called me when I was hired here. We've definitely interacted since then. I called her after when they got to the Sweet 16. Haven't had a chance to today. Let them celebrate. That's an amazing accomplishment. And really like how they compete. And I think the sign of a great team is to find a way to win no matter how the game goes. And, you know, I'm not a basketball guy, but, like, you know, it seemed like we didn't score a whole lot, but to find a way to win, awesome. And they have the it thing, and as a coach, you can definitely see that.
Is it tough sometimes, especially, you know, she's in her second year, you're in your second year, both are having success. Is it tough to really enjoy it when it happens so quickly?
Good question. I think, you know, for us, everything has an expiration date. And, yeah, like, Saturday was a big day for our program. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it wasn't. Like, they're the standard bearer, one of them. You know, there's a few of them in our league, but that's one of them. And so I wanted our guys to feel good about that. They should feel good about that, especially in the fashion that they won. And then there's an expiration date. And so yesterday it's about, hey, how do we need to set up the week? What do we need to do in practice on Monday? How do we need to prepare? and you move on. So, I mean, a big picture, I mean, it's in the back of my mind, but the forefront is the now, and that's just how I operate. And someday I'll look back and go like, wow, you know, what a great stretch to the toughest teams in the country. You know, I mean, we're playing like 7 top 20 teams in a row or something like that to open up the league schedule. But you can't get caught up in that. You just gotta go execute.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.